First off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessors, transmitting masters, everyone here today, for the opportunity to continue talking about the 10 great vows. So last time we finished, we got to this point here, this slide here. The first two we talked about, so just briefly, the first one was sincerely embrace the Tao. Okay, so when we come to receive the Tao, that's it's assumed that that's what we're going to do, is sincerely embrace the Tao. And then also the second one, to sincerely and honestly repent. That's for the male. Okay, and then sincerely and honestly cultivate and refine ourselves. That's the female. Although again, as I explained, it's basically we have to do both. Okay, so but due to kind of like historical, you can say historical situation, that they kind of made it separate. But okay, so those are the first two. So the first two, and then the next 8 are kind of like would be things that we should not do, actually. So the first 2 we do, and then the next 8, it says, if I should do these next 8, then I will accept punishment for my okay, so I changed this from last time. Okay, punishment for my conscience. Okay, so basically we should not do the next 8. Okay, so the next 8 basically we'll word it in a negative, saying that we don't do these things. Okay, and this punishment, just to clarify again, punishment for my conscience. Okay, so it's basically we'll regret later on. We'll regret that we didn't follow or fulfill these vows. Okay, usually it's not. In this life we may not realize that. Oh, it's such a big deal. But after we lose this body, things become a little bit more clear. Okay, it's kind of a little ironic that, or I don't know. It's just that's the way it is. Okay, so once we lose this body, then things are a little bit clearer, and we realize that, oh, I should not have broken these vows, or I should have fulfilled these vows, and because we realize that I cannot return to heaven or whatever, or gain eternal life as a result. So then of course by then it's the regret. It's kind of late to regret, but anyway, so it's not like instant punishment. All right. Okay, so let's get on to the third one here. Let's see. Oh, okay, so basically, well, in the vow, we would say 虚心假意. Okay, so but we say 不虚心假意, so to not do that. All right, so to not have false pretenses. False pretense. So basically, coming in for some other purpose or some false purpose, right? So false pretense is to pretend, right? To be fake or insincere, to have some ulterior motive or attachments or greed. Okay, so basically, there's some kind of motive. There's some kind of agenda in wanting to receive the Tao. So these are some examples, like using the Tao name or name recognition or reputation to improve one's own standing. So perhaps I need to actually I remember hearing some predecessors talking about, or in the past there were people who they received the Tao because they were using that as a way to gain, you can say, kind of to gain, gain some kind of status, in this country, for example. Okay, so so obviously that is not, that's going against the purpose of what the Tao is. So it's not for that. But okay. So basically, So we can't be doing that, right? If we use the Tao for other than its intended purpose, so this is more general. Tao is obviously, it's for our own cultivation, for our the purpose. When we receive the Tao, it's for us to ultimately, is to go on this path of enlightenment, awakening, and enlightenment, to cultivate ourselves, and in the process, of course, as we awaken, to help others also get on this path of awakening and enlightenment. Okay, so it's there should be no selfish type of purpose. Greedy for or having attachment to merit. That's could also be the reason that people have like to want to receive the Tao. I guess this may be a little less. I don't see this as much, but they realize, I can get something get merits. Okay, so again, if you're just doing it for the merits, then that's we're attached to the form of the merits, and so that's not really the true meaning of receiving the Tao either. So ultimately, we'll fail to achieve what we are seeking in that case too. I mean, the more merits, if we're really trying to get those merits, in the end, we have no merits. Okay, so basically, all right, and then like pretending to be a Tao cultivator. All right, so yeah, again, this is saying that we're not really, we don't really want to cultivate. We just have now this name, that I received the Tao, so I'm a Tao cultivator, but I don't really cultivate. So that's having a false pretense. So they're not really receiving the Tao for the true purpose, and then use Tao for personal gain again. So that the first one is also part of that, I guess. This is more general. Any type of personal for selfish gains, maybe using the Tao. So once I receive the Tao, then I can be, I'm part of this temple, part of the Tao community, and then I can use it to, maybe let's say, I have something to sell to them, so that's for personal gain. So that's why that's one of the things that we cannot do. Okay. The other thing is, okay. Now this is in terms of that greedy for. Usually, yeah. Okay, no, I won't talk about that. That's something else there. The other thing is, a lot of people, or some people that we encounter, they're looking for some kind of you can say a quick solution to their problems. They're seeking, this is they're looking for a blessing or something to kind of change their fortune. Okay, so maybe they lost a job or they're in bad health and they've tried other things and nothing's working, and so they're willing to try anything. But this is a situation where, again, if there's no sincerity, if there's no faith, then how can they get what they want, right? That's very important. Is that sometimes we say. And we shouldn't really encourage. I mean, sometimes we encourage people. Say, hey, you can. Hey, you're bad. Your health is bad, or whatever, or you have cancer. Say, hey, just receive the Tao, and you can improve. This is not. We have to be careful with that. I mean, we can't because the problem is we cannot guarantee that. Okay, so anything that we cannot guarantee, we should not say, or else they'll use our word against us. Okay, so they'll say, hey, you said. This is what you said, and it hasn't happened, so we can't say that. Okay, we can't guarantee anything. So we have to see if they're really sincere. If they have to prove that they're sincere. I mean, if they're not sincere, then it's not going to help them, right? So we should avoid that kind of situation. Right. Okay. So Holy Teacher says, to empty the heart and mind like a valley. Only the uncommon saint sees the light. So emptying the heart and mind is basically kind of like so that we can tolerate the unbearable rights and wrongs and grievances, right? Only, right? So, and only, that would be a saint, like a saint. Okay, so it's uncommon because saints are not very common. Most people maybe can't do that. But that's something that we should strive for, to be have such a great broad mind and heart, okay, that we can encompass everything, and then we can see the light, we can see the truth. Right? If the heart is let loose, right, evil arises endlessly. Okay, so the heart, basically, if we indulge our heart, if we indulge our senses, okay, so what our desires, okay, then it gives rise to the evil thoughts that lead to, you can say, depravity or immorality, decadence, wickedness, all that, and the path of destruction, basically, where the disasters become endless. Okay, so whether they'll eventually we pay the consequences, okay, for our indulgence, okay, and so we have to be careful of that. So that's why it's important to understand cause and effect, causality, okay, karma. Once we can understand that, then at least that's kind of a more rational view. Let us, give us that reason to understand. Say, there's certain things. If I do these things, then there's consequences. Okay. The true master is within the fake one, but where is it? Okay, so the true master, that's if the enlightened master or holy teacher, or in this case, transmitting masters, transmitting the Tao to us, three treasures, they don't point out to us that we have this true nature, and then how do we know where it is? Okay, and how can we really understand our heart and mind and see that true self nature? Okay, so it's kind of, it's opening up that door, opening up our wisdom eye, so that we can see, use our wisdom to realize our true self, okay, our true nature, and that is our true master, the Buddha nature. Okay, transform and manifest our benevolent nature and spread the mercy. Okay, so basically we learned from the saints and Buddhas and sages, we learn of their mercy, how they are very compassionate and merciful, and we try to be like them, and also be merciful to others. So, all right, okay. Okay, so let's talk about the levels of not having false pretenses. Okay, so it's kind of okay, yeah. So starting from the lowest level now, we'll start from the lowest. This is kind of like the minimum, the basic level. Okay, so not to stop passing idle time in the Tao and pretending to be a cultivator, so as to realize the force of the vows. So unfortunately, I think we see a lot of people, after they receive the Tao, they're not really. They may come to the temple, even if they do come to the temple. I mean, so first of all, if they don't really come to the temple, they're not really really cultivating, let's say. Or they do come to the temple and they're not really, I don't know. It's like, for them, it's like kind of a social thing, where you come to the temple, you maybe listen to a class, and then you eat, you have a lunch. But they're not really not really studying, not really learning, and not really practicing. So that's passing idle time in the Tao. Okay, so it's wasting our time, really. They're wasting our time, and so that's just pretending to be a cultivator. Oh, just to be seen in the temple as, oh yeah, so I go to the temple, so I'm a cultivator, right? So that's not really that's superficial. Okay, so then there's no force. We don't have that power of the vows as a result. if we're kind of do that. All right. So basically, we have to do a minimum effort into at least a minimum effort into later on. I mean, it's like we have to actually put in our best effort, but to cultivate, right? To learn and to cultivate. So the next level is we have to cut off the inconsistent words and actions, words and intentions, or you say duplicity. Okay, so this basically, where we say one thing and we do another, or we say things that we're going to do but we don't do it, and maybe we also say we say one thing and then our intentions are completely different. Okay, so that's duplicity. That's kind of deceit, deception, right? Being fraudulent, dishonesty, betrayal, all that. Okay, so again, those are all these would be considered, having some false pretenses. So in other words, we have to be honest, right? We have to be what we say we're going to do, we're going to do. Okay, and so just like taking the vows, we have to take them seriously. That so once we at least once we learn, understand the meaning of the vows, that then we're going to try to fulfill these vows. Okay, or anything. I mean, anything that we want to do when we're practicing or cultivating. So this is this is at least we have to be consistent. Okay, inside and out. And then kind of like at a highest level is, abide in the prajna wisdom, and the dharmakakra, that's the wheel of dharma, okay, to subdue the evil heart and mind. Okay, so this is, we have to have the proper views. So the Noble Eightfold Path, right, the first two is having proper views or right views, and the proper thoughts or intentions, right? So those are, if we can have those, if everything is proper in terms of our viewpoint, or how we view things, how we view reality, how we view life, how we view the truth and everything, and then the thoughts should follow that. Okay, that they should also be proper and right. Then we won't have the evil thoughts. Okay, that come up. So then we won't have this fake, this pretense anymore. Okay, so that's more of a higher level, if you will. Okay. All right, so given that we have the intention to cultivate Tao, that's assumed, we're assuming when we receive the Tao, that we have this intention that we want to pursue this path and to cultivate. Okay, and then we should work hard for our own liberation from samsara, this cycle of birth, death, rebirth. Okay, so and that's really that's the goal. Okay, so that's the purpose. So yeah, that we have to put in the work, the effort to do that. All right, there's no free lunch. Okay, so people maybe they get the wrong impression that as long as once I have the three treasures, then I'm liberated. Okay, I can transcend and I won't have to come back. I have eternal life. But we already know that that's not the case. It's having the three treasures is a minimum, is a requirement, but it's not necessarily by itself sufficient. Okay, to achieve that. So we have to cultivate. We have to have virtues and merits. Okay. And we have to pay off our karmic debts. Okay, so all those things, conditions. Therefore, we must not have false pretense. All right. So, with the utmost sincere heart, we should make kind vows from the Bodhi mind, that's the mind of awakening, okay, the Buddha mind. Firstly, for the benefit of sentient beings. Again, you want this Bodhi mind, so that's the mind of, you can say it's the mind of a Buddha, Bodhisattva, it's the awakened mind. It's and it would be the mind that is not selfish. There's no self. It's for sentient beings. Okay, so therefore, we should always try to benefit all sentient beings. This is the expression of sincere and true intentions. Okay, so I think probably most people they don't realize that. Okay, so but But yeah, that's what it is. All right. Okay, so the next one, yeah, number 4. Okay, so to 退缩不前. Okay, so normally you would say 退缩不前, so 不退缩不前, so to not regress instead of progress. Okay, so instead of falling back or retreating, we want to move forward, make progress. Okay, so those who regress or retreat have doubts in their mind, right? Have the intent but do nothing. The doubts, yeah, if we have doubts, in other words, when we have doubts, our faith, we don't have 100% faith. Okay, so we're not, we don't have a strong faith or confidence. All right, so there are doubts. Yeah, there are questions in our minds like, oh, is this really, is this really true? Is this, all that is, and that will hold us back. Okay, so when it holds us back, then the potential for regressing or retreating is much greater. Or and also we have some intent that say, yeah, it's a good thing. I want to do it. Or, well, I say I want to do it. I have that intent to do it, but then I actually don't do it. Don't carry it out. Okay. So again, this, whether it's due to being very just too passive, or lazy, not having that motivation, that drive to want to achieve, then that will happen. Okay, so I think a lot of people, they say, yeah, cultivation is good. Becoming Buddha, that's good. But maybe they don't have that drive, to push them, and no one can really push them. So we have to push ourselves. I mean, that's why we have to be motivated, self-motivated. Okay, to achieve. So knowing and doing are inconsistent. Okay, again, so what we know, and we may know that we're supposed to do, we're supposed to cultivate, we're supposed to perform merits, but we don't do it. Okay, and so basically, okay, so cultivating Tao and name is but not in actuality, right? So we're actually, we cultivate. Again, it's only on the surface. And it's not really, so this is more like talking about within our heart and mind, we're not really there. Okay. Yeah, I say, oh yeah, I show up at temple, I listen to classes, but then my mind is elsewhere. Okay, so I'm not really into it. So that's what this, so we can't really truly cultivate. And even a lifetime of such cultivation, it's hard to show any progress, right? So the heart and mind, what's in our heart and mind is very important as far as what our ultimate achievement is, right? We may think that we are cultivating, for our whole lifetime, but we actually in the end may not have that kind of achievement because of what's in our heart and mind, or what's lacking in our heart and mind, right? If we have doubts, or we have questions, or we don't have that will, we don't have that self-motivation to drive us, then ultimately we won't see the progress. Okay, so Holy Teacher says, to progress is like to regress or to retreat. It's like falling into a trap, right? So cultivation is basically like, I would use the maybe example here. It's like rowing. We're on the river, right? We're rowing against the stream, against the flow of the river, against the current. Okay, but this river, we're right on top of a waterfall. Okay, so and so if we stop rowing against the current, then we're going to get swept over the waterfall and drop down, the waterfall. Okay, so that's very dangerous. So once we lose now, so we have to realize that once we lose this life that we have right now, this human life, it can be it can be a very long time, and also be very difficult to regain a human life in the next life or whenever that may happen. Okay, so we have to be careful. We can't be too careless. Okay, when we slack off, right, do not forget our original heart or intent. Okay, so remember that vow, the character, Chinese character, it's original heart, original mind, whatever. So anytime we feel like we're slacking off, then don't forget the power of our vows and original intent, because it affects the rise and fall of our ancestors' descendants, right? So it's not just us, right? It affects our ancestors because they don't have that. They don't have the body, right? They're not human. They're not in the living human world. They cannot receive the Tao by themselves, and so they depend on us. So we should do our best to help. Okay, so when we think, I'll just slack off for a little bit, we should think of them. Okay, so they're going to hate us for it if we don't cultivate. Okay. Do not follow common people in contention if you know what is good. Okay, so most people, the common people, I mean, they can be contentious, but the saints are not. Basically, the way of heaven is to not seek success and fame, right? So that's what most people seek in this world. And if we contend with them, we should. Then we're going to join them, become like common. Basically, then if we join with the common people, then how can we transcend the holy? Okay, so or become a holy. Okay, so or saintly. Okay, so we should not fall into the trap of becoming like others, like the common person. Okay, so the future quickly becomes bright. So a bright future is waiting to be created, right? So the value of life is waiting to be developed. No matter where you are, only Tao cultivation is always the same, right? So it doesn't matter the circumstances, conditions, situations that we're in, but basically the Tao cultivation will always be the same. So yeah, I mean, even in the past, it was even more difficult to cultivate in the past, right? So today, in modern times, cultivation is a lot easier. The conditions, the situation is circumstances are a lot better for us to cultivate, and so we should definitely, we really can't complain about that, right? Okay, all right. So let's talk about the levels of regressing instead of progressing. Okay, so at the lowest level, it says, starting with diligence, we start with diligence, but we end in negligence. Okay, so we at first, we might think, oh yeah, we're kind of diligent, but then we kind of slack off, and then we kind of maybe we just kind of give up on it. Okay, so suddenly progressing or regressing. So this is kind of like starts and fits, right? We maybe today, I feel good. I cultivate, and then tomorrow it's like, whatever it is due to emotion or whatever circumstances. Then I say, forget it. And it's ups and downs, okay. And so, and then whether having the Tao aspiration or not, whether we really want to attain this Tao, to transcend this life, attain nirvana. Sometimes we have, I feel gung ho. It's like, this is something I want. And the next day, it's like, oh no, forget it. I'll go back to enjoying life instead, right? So this is kind of, so it's a lot of, maybe we take one step forward, but maybe we're taking 2 steps back or 3 steps back. So we're really not making much progress, or actually we're kind of retreating. Okay, kind of a next level up. You say, it's not able. So we also encounter tests and trials, right? So if we can't endure the tests and trials, and if we fail to fulfill our vows. Okay, so so this is basically, the tests and trials will appear. Well, sometimes even karma, when karma, the karmic retribution happens. Well, it could actually be good karmic blessings too, and that could also affect us. Okay, so we have to be careful whether it's good or bad. We have to be careful because sometimes when things are good, it's like, wow, I suddenly hit the lottery, hit the jackpot. I don't have to. Wow, why do I have to cultivate? Why don't I enjoy myself now? So that's kind of when things are good, then that's also a test to see if we're going to continue to cultivate. Okay, so but obviously, usually we talk about when things are hardships, difficulties as tests and trials that make it difficult for us, and see whether we're going to continue to cultivate. Okay, so but either way, we should continue to cultivate, right? And then the more higher level is not able to earnestly practice the 6 paramitas, right? We've talked about the 6 paramitas extensively, and then which are diligence, forbearance, precepts, giving, wisdom, and it's also giving. We're missing one here. Wisdom, precepts, forbearance, diligence, and there's 6. Oh, I'm missing one here. But let's see. Giving. There's also, I guess, the samadhi or whatever. Samadhi. But anyways, the 6 paramitas, basically, that's kind of the highest level of if we are, because the cultivation for bodhisattva, right, is you have to practice 6 paramitas. All bodhisattva, all Buddhas practice those. And so if they're not practicing those, then we're not really, cultivating on that path. So that's kind of more the higher level. Okay, so those who regress, if not due to a busy life and family tests, are mostly due to a lack of faith and confidence. Okay, so when we have a firm, so again, faith and confidence are very important to get us through these difficult times, these tests, right? When we have firm, unwavering faith and confidence, no matter how busy life is and how many or how big the tests are, they will not stop us from cultivating, right? So, so that definitely, faith, confidence, that's really kind of like the key there, that we have to have that in order to continue on when, right? They always say, when things are darkest, right? We, as long as we have that faith, we can carry on and continue on, right? So therefore, when we find ourselves retreating, must be due to lower confidence and faith in the Tao. We must start with the mindset to strengthen the will and resolve to cultivate in order not to regress because of a busy life or numerous tests. Okay, so the having the faith and confidence, that's why it's important to, if we have questions in our mind, if we have doubts, to clear them up, right? Get them cleared up, because those things will be nagging us, and those things will hold us back. And when push comes to shove, when the situation arises, we may not be able to, continue on as a result. And so that's why I always say, you have questions, ask. Definitely. There's no stupid question. As long as it can clear up the doubt or a question in our mind, then we should do that. Okay. But okay. Basically, yeah. So that's what that is. Okay. So the next one, to not不欺师灭祖. Okay, so or 欺师灭祖 is to deceive. So we not deceive and discredit the masters. Basically the holy teachers, the patriarchs, to deceive. To deceive the masters is to show respect on the surface, but disobeying the instructions and doing whatever they want. Okay, so whether it's holy teachers or patriarchs. Well, right now we don't have patriarchs now, but so let's say we have holy teachers, and we have like transmitting masters, for example. Is we show respect, but we disobey the instructions. Okay, so and we decide to do whatever else we want. So that's that's deceiving, discrediting the masters, right? To discredit the masters is to not recognize their status and virtues, right? To not be grateful and spreading the master's virtues, even going so far as to claim oneself to be a master. Okay, so the other half of this is the masters, right? It's we have to recognize, that's they've become masters. Okay, we should recognize that. Okay, their status, and also, of course, they have the virtues. Okay, to be masters, right? So we should also be grateful. Okay, so to not be grateful and spreading the master's virtues. Okay, so and going so far as to claim oneself to be a master. Okay, so that's kind of really over the top, where you say, the holy teacher is, I don't believe the holy teacher. I'm the holy teacher, right? Holy teacher, I mean, God speaks to me, so I'm the holy teacher. That's really that's a violation of this here. And unfortunately, yeah, I guess I've seen some examples of this too. It's people claiming to be that they're at least they, sometimes they say, oh, holy teachers talking through them, and so. But anyways, this is and actually now today, that's why we have to be careful in the Tao community. Okay. So there's we know that the Tao lineage, that's why it's sometimes, the learning is important, that we have to have certain knowledge about, this Tao. Okay, so we know that the Tao lineage has ended, basically, in terms of the patriarchs, the 18th patriarch, matriarch, they're the last, or there's this total, basically the 64. So there should be no more. Anyone who claims to be a new master, a new patriarch, then we know that's to be false. Okay, so we should not go seek that out. Okay, so there, obviously people, humans are still humans, I guess, and they are to err is human, right? Humans make mistakes, and well, in that case, it's having false views and having, so not having the wisdom. Okay, all right, but anyways, okay, so. To deceive and discredit the masters takes a lot of chutzpah. Okay, so that's a chutzpah, right? That's a kind of a Hebrew, comes from a Hebrew term. Okay, so that's a lot of guts, a lot of gall, a lot of audacity, nerve, impudence, rudeness, fearlessness. Okay, so to respect the masters and the Tao is to follow heaven, right? Because they represent heaven, the masters. They also have heaven's mandate. Right? Heaven has given them authority, so they represent heaven. They represent the Tao. So so we respect them, and of course we respect the teachings, the Tao, the principles. Then we're also following heaven. Okay, so disciples must show respect and propriety to the one-point transmission master. Okay, so that's the transmitting master, Now that our holy teacher is not here, the transmitting masters represent the whole, or you can say our agents of the holy teacher, to be able to transmit the three treasures, transmit the Tao. Okay, so we have to show that respect to them. Without without them, without having that mandate, we would not be able to receive the Tao. Right, to be master and disciple in one life links us for thousands of years. Okay. Obviously this is talking about the holy teacher in terms of the holy teacher and disciple. Okay, not talking about the transmitting master. Okay, so basically, that we are, when we receive the Tao, we are disciples of the holy teacher, and so this master disciple relationship can last thousands of years. Okay, it's not just this one lifetime, and there could have been affinity from the past as well. Okay, the master's merit is great beyond measure. Right, to forget the master it is difficult to guarantee one's life. Okay, so that sounds very serious. I mean, basically, if we forget who our master is, who in terms of who like our holy teacher, for example, who holy teacher is, because he's the one who transmit the Tao to us, given us the three treasures, then it's hard to guarantee our own lives. Okay, so I mean, we obviously, even in like martial arts, right? They show their respect, and they never forget their teacher, right? Their sensei. And so it's the same thing. We should, as disciples, our master guides us in this life, guides us to achieve nirvana, ultimately to attain nirvana. And so that we should not forget, the holy teacher. Right? Okay. All right. So holy teacher says, we can deceive people and ourselves, but we cannot deceive heaven, right? People, it's easy to deceive people because they don't know everything. And even we can deceive ourselves. We fool ourselves, right? Into thinking something. But heaven, nothing escapes heaven, okay? So everything we say is heard like thunder in heaven. Right? How can we deceive heaven when nothing escapes its notice? Right? Remember that everything is recorded, for one. Everything we do, we say, we think, these are all recorded. It's like a black box. Okay, it's our alaya consciousness, our eighth consciousness records everything, and so therefore, once we leave this world, we die. We then when we are judged, they bring out the recording and play back everything. So that, you don't think you didn't do that? Well, here it is, right? So nothing can escape, and therefore karma. That's why causality, cause and effect, karma is always fair and just because it is based on exactly what we've done. Okay. Okay. So we must hold tight to Holy Teacher's marvelous Tao, right? So we often should study and learn about the true transmission of the enlightened master and its infinite marvelous uses to see its marvelous mystery, right? Otherwise, receiving or obtaining the transmission is no different than not having received it. So how can we elevate our mind and spirit? In other words, if we just receive the Tao and we don't really understand what it's about, and therefore we don't really cultivate, we don't really do, we don't pursue that path, pursue the truth more. We don't. It's almost as if it's almost like we don't receive the Tao. Okay, so therefore, it's important to understand, to truly realize that this marvelousness of the Tao, marvelousness of our true nature, the Buddha nature. Okay. Destroy the three minds and leave the four images. Yeah, so the three minds, right, are the mind of the past, the present, and the future. So it's relating to time, and the four images we've talked about again is also you can say the images of it's the self, others, self people, others, sentient beings, and basically you can say personality or lifetime. Okay, so relating to our existence. Okay, so or existence in general, and so we have to kind of get rid of these because these are false views. Okay, so they are false views of reality. I mean, we think it's real. We have subject-object duality. That's how humans view the world. Subject-object duality. Okay, it's me and there's you. There's me and there's everything else. But that's not the true reality. Okay, so we have to kind of break through that, right? So when we hold to the three minds, then we will have reincarnation. Okay, so when we hold to the four images, then we also constrained. Okay, only if we can destroy the three minds and four images can we transcend from the constraints of yin and yang and the five elements and escape samsara, right? Because these are basically you can say the marks of this yin and yang temporal reality. Okay, this not the true reality, and so so if we are attached to those, then we are kind of going to we may be stuck here. Okay, in this reality, this false reality. Again, just like in the movie The Matrix, just like, we think that's real. We're living inside the Matrix, inside this simulation, and we think it's so real we like it. I mean, we want to stay there. And so we have to break through that, get rid of that image, that view. Patriarchs reveal Buddha's Dharma for the salvation of the world. Okay, so the patriarchs, they carry out the great universal salvation mission of the Dharma ending age. Okay, but salvation comes from saving oneself. Right? If we do not try to save ourselves, then how can the Buddhas ferry us? Right. So again, going back to the three conditions to being ferried by Buddha, right, is that we have to have the faith, and then we have to have the affinity. We have to have be able to take the vows. Okay, so we have to. Okay, and then there's the other saying that God saves those who save themselves, right? So another way of saying that is that we can save ourselves. Okay, so we have to save ourselves. That no one really can do that for us. Okay, so I mean they can point out, they can try to guide us, but we have to walk the walk. Okay, ourselves, right? Okay, so let's look at the levels of deceiving and discrediting the masters. Okay, so if at the lowest level, it's not to respect the transmitting masters, the lecturers, the introducers, guarantors, or to defy heaven's mandate. Okay, so I mean, we know about the transmitting masters, right? They represent the holy teacher, and so they have this mandate, heaven's mandate, to transmit the Tao. Lecturers, also, they teach, trying to teach the Dharma, spreading the Dharma, the gospel. The introducing guarantors also who bring us to receive the Tao. And so we have to respect, everyone. Okay. And then, so the next level is to leave the lineage of our Tao, of our temple, let's say, and the Dharma boat of the enlightened masters to establish their own sect. Okay, so this is all right. So this is kind of a little bit broader. That if we leave the Tao, just like those people mentioned earlier, that they have a 19th, 20th, 21st patriarch. Okay, so they've kind of deviated from the true Tao. Okay, and so that's similar to basically they establish their own sect, or those who depart for other reasons and establish their own. They say, hey, I know better, right? I know what the truth is. I know whatever it is that they think. Then they deviate away from the original lineage of the Tao. Okay, so that's very dangerous too. Okay, so that's basically saying, hey, I don't believe these masters. Okay, all right. So at the highest level is to not able to unite with the patriarchs' heart and mind, right? To comprehend the true meaning of the great Tao, to spread the truth. Okay, so yeah, so we have to understand. We want to understand the patriarchs, the masters, their heart and mind, their intent, their intention, what their will is. And so to basically follow in their will and to carry out their will, continue to carry on their aspirations. Okay. And also, we have to really comprehend the true meaning of the Tao. Okay. So, that's why a lot of the stuff we learn here is to really comprehend is to really enlighten ourselves, to truly to awaken to it, and to and that comes from within. Okay, so we get a lot of knowledge here, but to get that true insight into the true meaning, that comes from within. We have to kind of develop that within ourselves. Okay. And ultimately, and so all the practices that we talk about help us to do that. Okay, it's not like a direct thing; it's kind of indirect. All right, and so people who are seeking the instant gratification, if you will, of gaining this ability, this comprehension, right? Just in an instant, it can be done, but for most people, it's not like that, and especially if we become attached to the knowledge, attached to the forms, then we won't get there. Okay, and then we have to spread the truth. Okay, so it's our duty, because that's what the patriarchs, the masters, what their mission is to spread this Tao, and so we should try to carry that out as well. For as long as we can. All right. Okay, so a cultivator must never forget the kindness of our holy teacher. We should always follow the holy teacher's instructions. Now, you say, well, the holy teacher is not here. Well, okay, so sometimes there's channeling, right? And we can get more instructions from the holy teacher. But if the holy teacher is not channeling anymore, then what do we do? Well, we follow what's already, the previous instructions. A lot of times, holy teacher gives us instructions, but we say we follow the instructions, but actually, over the years, we've gotten so many instructions and we've actually not been following all of them. So we can always go back, and obviously, what's in the scriptures, in the sutras, whatever, all those. We should follow, and then following the precepts, right? The rules and regulations, all these things, the principles. Okay, we want to emulate their conduct and actions. Okay, so So although we're not trying to become a holy teacher, they are the example of virtue, of basically being a saint, like a living bodhisattva, a living Buddha. Okay, so we should obviously, if we want to become a Buddha, or then we should follow their, follow their example. Okay, continue their aspiration. Okay, so carry on their work, practice their Tao. Okay, so the Tao that they practice, fulfill their wishes. Okay, and never change our mind. Okay, so once we start on this path, we should not give up. We should not change our mind, no matter what, again, the circumstances of our lives, if it changes, if my life gets a lot more difficult, I should still continue to cultivate. If it gets a lot better, and there's the temptation to start enjoying my life and forgetting about cultivation, I shouldn't do that. So it's just still cultivate. Okay, so So we have to have that determination, that resolve. That's the only way for us to achieve, really. Okay, so remember, it goes from the beginning to the end. Okay, from the beginning, we maintain that same original heart and intent from the beginning all the way to the end. So this is, so we do these things to be considered. This is 尊师重道. Okay, to respect the teacher or the masters and the Tao. Okay, and the teachings, you can say. Okay, so all right. All right. Okay, so next. 6 is to 藐视前人. Okay. Okay, so not to despise the predecessors. Right. To despise the predecessors means to belittle or to look down upon, to show contempt for, to disrespect predecessors. Okay. It's kind of like, or to have contempt for them, disdain, condescension, dislike. Okay, so who are the predecessors? Predecessors, in a broad sense, are those who have received the Tao before us. Okay, so you can say anyone who's, we talk about the Tao age or the Tao receiving age of people. So that's the date that they received the Tao. And so everyone, people, we receive Tao on different days. So some people are the same date, but there are always those who received it before us. And in general, you can say that those are predecessors. Okay. But more narrowly speaking, you can say it means the transmitting master or transmitters who pioneered the Tao. Okay, so back then, back when the Tao was starting to propagate from China to, spreading throughout China and also then to eventually to the rest of the world. There are a lot of transmitting masters who later on we call them predecessors. Okay, so we give them kind of more official title of predecessor, or grand predecessor. Okay, but they were also transmitting masters before. Okay, at the time, and so they were pioneering the Tao. Okay, so now the holy teacher also said that people of virtue who are emulated by others can also be considered predecessors. Okay, so this is a more broader scope of the word, and so it can include anyone who's worthy to be emulated because of their virtue. Okay, so we can call them all predecessors. Now, predecessors, regardless of their Tao knowledge, right, and character, are worthy examples for us to follow. Okay, so actually, the predecessors, the ones now I'm referring to those who have the title predecessor that we call them predecessors today. A lot of them, they were actually, some of them were maybe illiterate, or they really didn't know much, even about the Tao, but they knew to cultivate. They understood, they know sacrifice, right? They know dedication. They have that spirit of cultivation. And that was what's more important. Okay, so when we emulate the virtuous and learn closely, how can we despise them, right? So that even though, we today, we learn a lot and we know probably more than some of the predecessors, but yet their dedication, their sacrifice, their spirit of cultivation is something that we lack. Okay, so that that's something that we can look up to and to try to emulate. Okay, because that is ultimately, it's not our knowledge that gets us into heaven, right? I think Grand Predecessor once said that there aren't very many PhDs in heaven. Okay, so I mean, he's saying that those who look at, take book knowledge as the important thing, then they don't achieve nirvana. Okay, they can't get to heaven. All right, so what's more important is that we dedicate our effort, that we dedicate our lives, and to be able to make sacrifices to achieve that. And those predecessors, they've achieved it. Even though they may be illiterate, they become bodhisattvas. Okay, in this lifetime. All right, so that's something definitely worthy of us to emulate. So even if they're not as knowledgeable, right, their spirit of dedication and sacrifice are worthy of our emulation. So how can we despise them? All right, so let's see. All right, so Holy Teacher says, how can one be worthy when harboring contempt? Okay, so actually, it's very important that we don't look down on predecessors, not just predecessors actually, but everyone. Okay, so all sentient beings are Buddhas, right? Because they all have the Buddha nature, and they are all future Buddhas. Okay, Buddha says that however many kalpas, we're talking about eons, kalpas, eventually, a sentient being can become a Buddha. Okay, so they have that potential. Every sentient being has this potential. So we should not look down on anyone because of what they know or don't know, or how they are in this life, etc. Okay, all these things don't matter. Okay, the important thing is that they have that Buddha nature. Okay, so to look down on others is to disrespect the Buddhas, right? Because in fact, we're looking down on their Buddha nature, and that's Buddha. Okay, so we shouldn't do that. So we can't do that. So how can a person who's conceited, right, be a person of the Tao, right? So obviously it's contradictory. Okay. Not to see forms is to see the marvelous truth or the true nature. All right. So Tao is without form. Anything that can be seen is not the Tao. Okay, it's some manifestation, but it's again, anything that's manifested can also it's created, and it can also be destroyed. Okay, so to seek Buddha outside of the heart and mind is an effort in vain. Okay, so the Buddha, remember, is not outside. It's not the we're not trying to seek the Buddha outside. The Buddha is inside of each of us, right? So we have that Buddha nature that's inside. So we have to find that Buddha inside. That's really what matters. Okay, not finding the one that's outside. Okay, because that's the false Buddha. Okay, to see all forms as empty is to see the Tathagata. Okay, so that is if we can look through the forms that we see, okay, don't take it as the real one, okay, because then once we see that everything is empty, then we can see the true Buddha inside. Okay, right. Okay, so let the experience of others be our lesson. Okay, so we learn from these predecessors. They've all been through a lot of hardships and everything, all their life experience. Especially they're dedicated to the Tao, dedicated to cultivation, and so they have a lot of experience that we can learn from. We have to kind of save us from going through the same difficulties. Okay, they can so it's the same thing in general. I mean, we can try to learn from other people's experience. Okay, to not repeat the mistakes that maybe have been from before. Okay, so but Holy Teacher also speaking the Dharma. He's talking about nurturing and manifesting the virtues as the model or example to follow. Right? We should also have consideration for others in our conduct and actions, right? To be considered a predecessor. So for us, if we emulate the predecessors, if we always have consideration for others, then we can be maybe considered as a predecessor. Since ancient times until the present, people who deceive and discredit the masters or despise the predecessors do not have a good end. Right, so how can we not be vigilant? So we have to be on guard, make sure that we don't make these mistakes that can be very devastating to our eventual goal, achieving our goal. Okay. We will naturally be at ease and at peace. Okay, so right, so if we can appreciate the heart of heaven and follow the conscience, then we will be at ease. Right, having done nothing to be ashamed of, we will have a clear conscience. So if we try to fulfill our vows, do what's right, do what we supposed to do, okay, follow the instructions of the masters, the holy teachers, then and everything is done with a clear conscience, then of course we will be at ease. Right? Okay. Holy Teacher also says, predecessors are busy every day to encourage and inspire others to save the good people of faith to return to heaven. Right? They're only afraid that people sink into the bitter sea, right? Not able to attend the Longhua assembly to prove their merit. Okay, so this Longhua assembly is something that it's like this gathering of everyone at the end of, I don't know, I guess it's supposed to be at the end of this. It's in either at the end of this white era or sometime during the white era, where everyone's achievements, right? Their merits, their virtues, based on what their achievements, their merits are, that they will be given, you can say a position or title in heaven. Okay, position, that's so that's or peerage that we talked about. Okay, in heaven, right? So whether ultimately we become a bodhisattva or a saint or a sage or whatever, right? So if the predecessors, right, they did not dedicate and sacrifice themselves for the Tao, right? How can we have this opportunity to receive the Tao? Moreover, the sixth patriarch said, right, if we look down on people, we have immeasurable sins. Okay, right? Again, because from sixth patriarch, he said, yeah, we're all equal, right? We're all the same. We all have that Buddha nature. Because all sentient beings have the Buddha nature and are future Buddhas. So again, we have to be very careful, be cautious how we treat any sentient being, actually. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the levels of despising the predecessors. At the lowest level, it says, being kind of high-minded, arrogance, right? Have no regard and disrespect for and disobeying the predecessors. Again, not respecting them, just thinking that, I'm better. Okay, so that's, again, you cannot do that. Second level, not able to further the aspirations of predecessors or to fulfill or complete the great dharma and virtue of predecessors' instructions. So this is obviously a little bit more involved, that we we are inspired, if we can be inspired by the predecessors and to continue on their work, right? The work that they dedicated themselves and they sacrificed themselves for to do. Okay, so this is at the next level, and always to consider their instructions to us. That's very very guidance. That's guidance that we should really cherish and to always remember. Okay, and to follow through. Okay, and then at the highest level, right? Not able to carry out on the cause of the predecessors, to continue carrying the torch of the truth, to bear the responsibilities of the saints and sages. So this is, essentially, become a predecessor ourselves, basically, to be in their, to kind of be like them, to carry out their work, to carry on this truth, to dedicate ourselves, to sacrifice, even to make sacrifices ourselves for that same cause, right? To take on all that responsibility. Okay. So, all right. Because of the time, I think we will actually stop here, I guess, and then we'll continue next week to finish finish it. So it's kind of like, yeah, about 1/3. Okay, so with that said, I asked the Buddhas and saints for forgiveness if I had said anything wrong or made any mistakes. I asked also the transmitting masters and lecturers for any corrections. Thank you.